Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. In today's episode, Clint and I are chatting with Silvia Tolisano, author of A Guide to Documenting Learning, Making Thinking Visible, Meaningful, Shareable, and Amplified. In this Spotlight clip, we're exploring Silvia's 5-step method for effectively reflecting, documenting, and sharing learning. As Silvia highlights, empowering both teachers and students to share their learning opens the doors to so many new possibilities that we might never have experienced without sharing our learning. In the full podcast episode, we also discuss in depth the importance of teachers being learners first when they're trying new methods in their classrooms. Listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. Remember, you can also listen to the full Coach Better episode wherever you get your podcasts. We are passionate about the impact coaching can have on student learning, school culture, and teacher professional growth, and we want to help you coach better. We've got some great opportunities for more learning after today's conversation, so stick around all the way to the end. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Coach Better podcast. We're excited to be here today with Silvia Tolisano. Welcome, Silvia.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yay. Silvia, can you tell me a little bit about your education background? Give us a little introduction to you.
Okay. So education background, I guess started, I went to a public school in Germany where I was born. And then moved to Argentina when I was in high school, where I went to a private international German-Argentinian school, and then started university in Argentina, but then went on to get my bachelor's and master's in the United States in a public university. So I've got, as a learner myself, I have all these different types of experiences, very different, one from the other, the teaching and learning philosophy, as well as the educational system. And so I became a teacher and taught at a public school, middle school for the advanced and gifted, and whatever that means. And then went on to private school, elementary school, small schools, religious schools, and then also taught at an international school in Latin America. And now I am a full-time coach and consultant. So that's kind of my background.
You have done an amazing job of articulating, documenting learning in so many different spaces, not just in your book, but on your blog. And I use your resources all the time. So can you talk to us a little bit about what are those key elements of documenting learning that are so critical for our teachers and our students today that maybe we can apply, each of us who are listening and watching, in our own settings?
So I'm a big fan of Project Zero's visible thinking routines. So much that I thought I needed to create my own routine for documenting, and came up with the 5 steps of knowing how to look for learning. And each one of those steps, I guess, are connected to mindset, to skill sets that I am trying to help my teachers that I'm coaching to make these connections for. So if I'm looking for learning, I need to know what are, if I see it, will I recognize it? If I see the absence of learning, can I recognize it? I had spoken with, I had asked one teacher one time at a conference, and he told me I look for that A on the spelling test at the end of the week. If they got all 10 right and get an A, that's learning. And that for me was that moment of, we need a conversation. We need to have a common language of what on our team, our grade level, our subject, our school, what will we accept as evidence of learning so we can look for that evidence. What does it mean for us? As long as we have teachers who will take that as evidence, as long as we have parents who look for that evidence, we are at a disconnect and talking at cross purposes. So look for learning is the first step. Second step is capture learning. So how do we capture it? Learning is it's not tangible. So how do you make thinking and learning visible to be able to capture it? And let's not just capture it in one media form, but being able to capture it in all different types of media form, to be able to capture not just in video or not just in images, but how do you use transmedia? How do you keep that moment of learning that usually it might just fleet away? How are you able to grab it in order then to be able to work with it, to unpack it, to squeeze information out of it, which takes us to the third step, which is reflect on learning. Can't be an add-on at the end. It has to be the work. It has to be part of it. How do you reflect? Is reflecting good enough to do it in your head? Is it good enough? Or is it the only way? You have to tell a colleague about it or write it down. And I think it was you who talked about the degrees of sharing from your head. Get it out there so somebody else can benefit from it as well, which takes us to the fourth step of from reflecting on learning, now sharing learning. So how do you make those artifacts that you have captured, that you looked for, that you were able to capture, that you already reflected on, how do you share that for your own learning and for the learning of others? And that's usually this big, sometimes obstacle and sometimes aha moment for teachers. They never thought about that the responsibility for the learning of others, colleagues, we're talking obviously for students, you've known that, but for the learning of others. And then even amplify that, not just what we're used to sharing with our colleagues down the hall that we have our PLC with, that we are meeting at a conference, but how do you share and amplify that learning with people who you will never meet, that you have an impact on people that you will never know you have an impact on? And how do you, through strategic dissemination of that work, of that documentation of your own learning, you are opening yourself up to opportunities that will come back to you that extend and amplify your own learning, which is something you never even imagine it until it happens to you. So look for learning, capture learning, reflect on learning, share learning, and then amplify learning. Those are the steps that I walk teachers through: mindset, skill set, and also the connections to those now literacies of network literacy, which is, if you want to share and you want to amplify, you need to develop these skills to become fluent in network literacy, information literacy, global, it's all there. So those are kind of the lens that I'm walking them through.
So fun to hear you talk about these steps. I can hear the passion and enthusiasm for this kind of learning just coming through the camera right now, which is just wonderful. And I really feel like what you're describing is exactly the experience that you have had as a professional, that Clint and I have both had through our own capturing our own learning and reflecting and sharing on our own learning, and the passion that we all feel about providing students for opportunities to have the exact experiences, maybe not the exact experiences, but the same type of experiences that we have had. And when you're talking about this question, and I'm going to paraphrase it incorrectly because I was trying to write while you were speaking, but how do you, through one more time. How do you, through strategic dissemination of learning, open yourself up to opportunities that will come back to you that you never could have imagined could have happened? And that's it. That's it in a nutshell, right? Like, that's why we think it is worth all of the extra time to learn how to do all of these things that sometimes when we're working with teachers, they're like, why would we even bother? Like, it just takes so long to set up a blog, to take the screenshots, to record the videos, to embed all these different pieces together and teach all these skills. It's because of that. You're not only making yourself better through the ongoing reflection of your own learning, but you're opening the door to potential possibilities you never even knew existed. And to me, that's like the most exciting thing right there in that one sentence.
And I agree. And to me, as a coach, that's what I see. I am the one I want to open up the horizon, broaden the horizon to the possibilities that potentially could exist. So I'm there, and I think it was Albert Einstein who said that I'm not there to teach my students, I'm there to provide those opportunities for them to experience it. And for me, the teachers that I coach, that's what I'm there for. I'm the connector. I want to, like, here, it's there. See what happens, and I will guide you, and I will support you. And anything of those little skills, like, I don't know how to share this, I can walk you through it. But it's about the possibilities.
Yes, and I think
you
that
don't know
is
what you don't know until you know the possibility is there. And then it's the self-directed and self-motivation that you need to feel, which distinguishes the teachers who do versus the ones that, oh, cool, let me go back to the way I've done it.
That wraps up today's episode of Coach Better Spotlight. If you want to catch the rest of the recording, find it wherever you get your podcasts under the name Coach Better. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and catch us on social media at Eduro Learning, or follow the hashtag Coach Better. As promised, here is our exciting new professional learning opportunity that we're super pumped to be bringing straight to you. Time to talk is crucial for today's modern educator. We know that so many of you are juggling a lot because your students, your peers, and your stakeholders mean so much to you. We know that sometimes this means making it to a conference or a weekend workshop is not always your best option. And we know that even when you do make it to that conference, you may not have been able to dig as deeply into a topic as you wanted to. You might have been left with unfinished conversations. Your students, peers, and stakeholders deserve professional development that recognizes the challenges of a modern educator. Eduro gets it. We are responding to change in our professional world, and we build the professional development that we want to be part of personally. This year, Eduro wants to harvest your willingness to always learn more, your eagerness to do dialogue diligently. That's why this year we are proud to invite your voice to a brand new type of learning, Mastermind Ed. We know that groupthink is the enemy of creativity. That's why Mastermind Ed focuses on harnessing diversity of thought and context. We know that sometimes best practice is simply the result of not having new practice as part of the conversation. That's why Mastermind Ed focuses on making time for provocative perspectives. And we know that professional development that isn't tailored to you just shouldn't be called professional development. That's why Mastermind Ed prides itself on paving pathways with you. Who is Mastermind Ed for? If you have a role in school or education, this is for you. Whether the topic is brand new or you consider yourself an expert, Mastermind Ed will stretch your thinking and help you clarify key questions. By joining a Mastermind Ed, you'll bring back actionable ideas to your school, and you will have a network of educators to think with. So get ready for an online learning environment that values you, your time, and your school. Join us for Mastermind Ed, an opportunity that sparks, sustains, and supplements your inspiration. Early bird registration starts October 7th, 2019, and Mastermind Ed groups start January 13th, 2020. Find out more at edurolearning.com.